Hello everyone, Magnus here, and it's been a little over a week since my last video, and that's because I've been working on a couple of projects, and quite honestly, to be perfectly truthful to you guys, if I can do these YouTube videos and support myself all the time, that's what I'd be doing. But unfortunately, I've got to stick to other means to it for some income, so it is what it is. But I will not ever stop making these videos because it really is my passion and what I love doing. But without further ado, let's get on with today's episode. Today's episode has to do with my recent experience using the GH5 to film and broadcast into another room. Now, let's get right into the details on how I set up. Basically, I had several wireless transmitters that I can work with that I had purchased over time, and I wanted to see what the best setup was to actually broadcast the GH5 to another room while filming in a gymnasium and an auditorium. Between those two, I needed to figure out what's the best way to broadcast from the gym all the way to the auditorium, which is like down a long hallway. I started off by using this set of Nyrius wireless transmitters. Now, it's advertised that these broadcast up to 100 feet of signal. Now, is this a professional setup? No, this is meant for the home, but I figured why not use it in this type of production setting since the lag time is basically non-existent with these machines. So I tried this out, and unfortunately I did not use it. Didn't use it that day specifically because of one of the features. Now, although this has no lag and it works great, and the signal is pretty reliable, at least for most of the time, the problem is that it has to sense that you have an HDMI signal coming in and that an HDMI signal coming out is like this device has to be connected to something and it has to be turned on. If not, the moment you turn off the devices that are connected to these two things, they completely lose signal. And I can't have the camera on and the screen on all the time while I'm running around trying to do the setup. So while I'm setting all of that up, if I have this off, then unfortunately it loses connection, and then turning everything on at the same time while being a one-man shoot would be next to impossible. Great device, but impractical for me, so I did not use that. Trying to go to a more professional setting, I actually bought this Camwave wireless HDMI transmitters, which I thought would be pretty good. I mean, they're meant for professional work, and I thought that it would be reliable. Now, they're powered off of USB, so if I've got this is the actual transmitter. If I've got a transmitter HDMI connected to a portable USB charger while connected directly to the camera, I could be walking around if that was necessary. And then I actually have this small little tiny receiver, which also takes a little small power cord directly plugged into whatever receiver that I'm working with, and boom, there you go. You have a very small, convenient HDMI solution. However, I did not use this. Why? Because when I tried to test it broadcasting through a distance of about my arm's length, the signal was not perfect. The signal would be subject to interference, and occasionally I would lose sound. So I couldn't use these. And as another note, they get super hot. They've got vents everywhere so that you don't, so that it can breathe and it doesn't overheat, but it still gets ridiculously hot. And you've got to be careful. So did I use these? No. For a device that I did use, I used this JTech Digital wireless transmitter that uses HD-BitT technology to actually transfer the HDMI signal, and it's advertised to go through concrete walls and in a direct line of sight can go up to 600 feet or so. Upon using it, upon testing it, I can tell you, no, that's not the case. I actually used it for that same arm's length worth of distance, and I did have a problem. That's why I did use it that day. But anything further, like when I tried to use it attempting from the gymnasium to actually the hallway, which was quite a long distance, it unfortunately would have interference and then completely drop the signal. And another downside of this is that if both devices aren't on, like the other transmitter, this doesn't work. But I used this one rather than the other one because it still was able to hold the signal a lot longer, at least for that arm's length worth of distance that I needed through the hallway. Now I'm going to show you what transmitter worked the best for the longest distance and gave me the least amount of problems. It's actually a device that is older than the previous Nyrius that I showed you. Actually, the latest Nyrius doesn't even have a transmitter that's this big. I believe the transmitter is just as small as one of these that I showed you. And what that is the older Nyrius transmitter receivers. Now this, one HDMI input for the transmitter and then one HDMI output for the receiver, and plug it in and it just works. And it worked from the gymnasium, middle of the gymnasium, all the way to the ceiling of the hallway, and there were a lot of people, a lot of possible interference. It did not drop signal, not even once. And I could tell it didn't because while I was working the camera, the link light didn't shut off on me. And the upside about it that I didn't mention is also that your device doesn't need to be on. That's the devices that are connected to this. As long as you've got both of these plugged in, they'll connect and link with each other no matter what. And then you just turn on your devices and it just works. And I couldn't believe that it sustained such a strong signal for such a long period of time, which quite honestly, I wish I could find more of these. I really couldn't find them when I tried to purchase more of these slightly older Nyrius devices, because for my line of work and for the practicality purpose of transmitting wireless HDMI, this worked top notch. But what do you guys think? Do you have any recommendations that I can use to transmit wireless HDMI signal for the longest length possible? I've been looking for that type of solution, and obviously I've done some purchases and I've worked my way around. Now, when I use those two transmitters, in between the transmitters, I had a long distance HDMI cable connected so that I can ensure that both HDMI transmitters and receivers did not interfere with each other, because I did not want these signals scrambling. And between those two transmitters and receivers, there was a lot of concrete walls, so I had no issue there. But I was able to successfully transmit the signal without an issue and pretty much get the crowd in there entertained and watching whatever I was filming in the other room. So again, any recommendations? Let me know what you guys think. I will keep these videos coming a lot faster. It's editing time, so projects have died down a little bit and it's time for me to get to work. And in between sessions, while things are rendering, I'm gonna make more of these videos. So as always, like, share, and of course, you can make my day if you subscribe today. This is Bangness, and I'm out. Take care, guys. Be back soon.